This is a simple electronic password lock kit. I purchased this late last year on AliExpress, and I thought it'd be a really interesting kit to assemble on the channel today. So let's take a look inside and see what you get. Okay, so this is a neat little kit. It includes a bunch of components, some of which are surface mount and some of which are through hole, so it's a nice little mix. We have the main PCB here, and this is quite nice. We can see the keypad layout. We have a few ICs we need to install. And as you can see, this is a double-sided board. Importantly, it also comes with some instructions, which include the PCB layout diagram, which is quite nice, and the bill of materials, and then some text on this side, which includes a schematic diagram and some additional text about the circuit in Chinese. So what other components do we have? Well, we have an electrolytic capacitor just here, and this one looks to be a 10 microfarad capacitor. There we go, 25 volts. We have a couple of resistors, as well as some surface mount resistors. And it looks like our surface mount resistors are all 10K. So these are marked 1002, and that gives us 100 with 2 additional zeros for 10K. So these are a 4-digit marking. We also have the regular through-hole components. So let's take a look at these. And this one is brown, black, black, red, which is 100 with 2 additional zeros. So that's also a 10K resistor. This one's just in the through-hole format. And then we have this one as well, which it's hard to see, but this is green, brown, black, black. So that's 510 with 0 additional zeros for 510 ohms. And we can check those both when we use them with a multimeter. For our ICs here, we have a dual pack of CD4013s, and I'm reading that here from the leaflet. So let's see if we can see that. And we also have this IC here, which is a CD4011, which is a quad NAND gate. And you know I like NAND gates on this channel. We have our 10 clicky switches, tactile switches. These have got nice little red keycaps, which is quite attractive. And of course, we have an LED. What kit would be complete without one? So as we can see on this schematic here, the kit works by activating these flip-flop circuits in sequence, and that allows us to activate the LED, which shows that the kit is unlocked. And we also have this NAND gate at the end, which does the reset functionality. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start off with these ICs because they're very tiny, and that allows us to put them in place. So warmed up the soldering iron here. Let's go ahead and tack one leg down, and then we'll see how we get on. So when installing the ICs, it's important they go around the right way. And so we see here, there's a little tiny indent on one side of the IC and a stripe down the left-hand side as well. And that indicates the pin 1 position. And if we look on the PCB, there's a little notch here, which means the ICs go this way around. Now, according to our instructions here, CD4011, which is the individual chip here, needs to go in position U3. So that is, in fact, this bottom one just here. So this IC is going to go just here. Okay, next up, let's do these two ICs. And again, we can see these stripes on the left-hand side on both of these chips. So that means pin 1 is on the left. And of course, these go in the remaining U1 and U2 positions. Okay, next I'm going to put on these surface mount resistors here. You can see I've accidentally tinned a few pads as I was going along, but that's absolutely fine. That's what I'm going to be doing next anyway. So here are our resistors, which we've already identified as our 10Ks. Okay, that's all done. So I think I'm going to do the through-hole resistors next. And again, we'll need to refer to the instructions to work out which is which. We have the 510 in position R8, which is this one just here. And we have the 10K in position R7, which is this one here. And if you look closely, you'll see I've managed to block this pad here. So we're just going to need to clear it. And we can do that with some solder wick, or we can do it with a solder sucker or solder pump, which is what I'm going to try to do first. So here's my solder pump or solder sucker. And this is just a really cheap one. So we're just going to heat up and see if we can remove the solder. Okay, so I've tried twice there and not had a lot of luck. There is one other trick we can use with the solder pump, and that's to try and get this from the other side. So I've got this little stand here. It's actually for holding wires, but we can use it for holding this PCB. That hole is now clear. That hole needs to be for our 10K resistor. So we've already identified that as this one with the red band, but we can also use the multimeter. So if I switch this to the 20K range, because we need something that's bigger than 10K, and then place the resistor across, and there you go, we see that is indeed our 10K resistor. Okay, next up we have R8. And again, on the data sheet, we see the R8 is our 510. We can go back to our multimeter. I've left it on the 20K range here. So 510 should be around half. And there you go, we're getting half a K, or we can put this down to the 2000 range and get a bit more detail. So make sure our meter's working correctly. Bit of a dodgy switch on this meter. And there we go again, around 500 ohms. Okay, let's put in all of our switches next. That's these nice little attractive switches. And so these little claw-shaped ones just go across the ways. Okay, so next I'm going to do our electrolytic capacitor. And a capacitor here is marked with a negative symbol on the can, and that's with the shorter lead. Hope you can see that there. And that means our longer lead here is positive. And the shaded area is negative on the PCB, and the longer lead goes in the positive hole. And last but not least, we have our LED, which goes here. Now, inside the LED diagram, you can see there's a little tiny triangle, and that goes from positive to negative. And there's a slightly flattened side on the silk screen, although that's a little hard to see. That's at the bottom here. So the round side is slightly flatter just here. And if we look on the LED, the shorter leg here is associated with a very slightly flattened area on the plastic casing. And as usual, we can check the polarity anyway by using a coin cell. So coin cells have a plus sign marked on them, and that goes with the longer lead. And there you go. That means the longer lead is positive. And of course, if we'd reverse this, it wouldn't light. So again, the longer lead is positive and goes in the beginning of the arrow, just like so. Now with LEDs, I like to just solder one joint and then put my finger on this side here and reflow the joint while I'm pushing some pressure to push it against the board. Make sure it's cooled, and then when you let go, you have a nice flush LED, and we can just solder the other leg. Okay, so we're all done. We now have our locking little keypad here with an LED. Of course, we need to apply some power, and there's two pins here, VCC and ground, and this doesn't include any wires. So actually, I've gone ahead and pre-pinned some here that we're going to install. So we're going to put red in VCC and black in ground. So I'm just taking a little look at this instruction leaflet here, and I'm not immediately seeing the required voltage. So I think we're going to start a fairly low voltage. So these service mount chips can usually run at around 3 volts. So let's try something like that. Okay, awesome. So this keypad actually only has one correct combination. You might have noticed there that I went 1, 4, 7, 9, and the LED lit up to say it was unlocked. And that's because this is actually hard-coded logic. If we look in the little schematic diagram here, we can see exactly which switches connect to which areas. Now, fortunately, the instructions for this on the listing did indeed give me the code, otherwise I'd have to work this out here. But as we can see, switch 1 turns on this one, switch 4 turns on this D flip-flop, switch 7 turns on this D flip-flop, and switch 9 turns on the final D flip-flop. And that all aboard causes Q, this output here, to go live, and that means that the LED illuminates. We can press switch 8 to cause a reset, and that's what we have done there. If we get any of the combinations wrong, we can accidentally cause a reset by pressing switch 2, switch 6, or switch 7. So if we try a different combination of codes here, say 1, 4, 9, 7, you see the LED does not illuminate. 1, 4, 7, 9 causes the LED to illuminate and the lock to unlock. And of course, we can then reset by pressing switch 8. So I think this is an interesting and fun little kit. Not particularly useful, of course, because there is only one combination for this. It is hard-coded, and once you know it, you know it. It's an interesting little experiment with the D flip-flops here, and of course the NAND gate as well, which is being used as an inverter. If you'd like to learn more about NAND gates and D flip-flops, of course do check out my video on the Science Fair Digital Electronic Logic Lab Kit, which goes through those in a lot more detail. But for now, I hope you found this video on the electronic lock keypad system interesting, and I hope to speak to you again soon in the next one.